Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. 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 Got lots of love. Got lots of love. Lots of love. Love. Got 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 lots of love. Love.
Our inside here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try,
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from me. It's just going to solidify everything from Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill Thor anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
SKT, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're going to be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Anvil immediately into back. Fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3. So back and forth.
I'm not crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Well, we're off to an auspicious start this evening. Hello, everybody, and welcome into CGL. I am Zobdan. I'm here with the incredible Shadow Fag. And Shadow, mid-season's over. We still have got a stretch of 4 more weeks to go in this multi-tier tournament, and we're going to start off with another banger in the Masters NA side. We've got Void Ravens versus Rat Milkers, and two interesting middle-of-the-pack position teams here for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, either team really wants this win just to kind of get that better seeding, better playoff positioning. You know, we still have 4 weeks, so there's plenty of time to recover from having a, subpar first half of the season, if you will. There's plenty of time for it still, and there's no better place to start than right here, quite frankly. And, here we are.
Yeah, has to come right now here in week 5, and we've got our first map of week 5 coming up. We'll be going to probably one of the most banned out maps I think we've seen in quite some time, and that is Antarctic Peninsula.
Yeah, it's funny too that it goes that way because I really like this map. I think this is probably my second favorite control map behind Lijiang Tower personally, but I am also like more of I tend to like the brawly style maps, and Antarctic has at least one, if not 2 of these maps where that brawly play style really can take hold.
Yeah, and we'll see what these teams have been practicing, because I don't know how much they've been scrimming of it, but we'll jump into that because we've also got bans to go with this. Now, they have been done since we've been waiting for that, so we'll jump right into them. The Reaper ban from the Void Ravens come out, and Rat Milkers ban the Wu Yang. 2 pieces that interestingly kind of work towards the same combo, but they can still kind of disable a lot of different things.
I mean, yeah, they most certainly can. The Reaper coming out really... It makes the Zarya comp a little bit harder to play. You can still run it, but I think Reaper is what really brings that whole thing together. And then with the Wu Yang out of the picture, you're probably going to be looking at like a Kiriko Lucio instead, I would have to imagine. Maybe you go like an Ana Brig, but I feel like it's probably going to be Kiri Lucio as the default there.
Yeah, arguably. It's interesting because we've seen some Venture slip into the Reaper spots, so we'll see if the teams want to try to force that and if they want to adapt. But let's see who these teams are bringing into the field, because there's quite a roster on at least one of these sides. Void Ravens coming in with Nerve, Altaria on DPS, Hunted for the tank, Gali Guagan, and Lynx to round out the support line. And over on Rat Milkers, it's Mokumi, Zachary on the DPS, Hammerpaw on the tank, Vinci and Fish on the DPS line. Rat Milkers has a pretty steep roster, so it's very interesting to see this combination of their dive team come together to me.
Yeah, it really is, but it also makes sense if you have someone that prefers to play the Lucio over the Wu Yang. It's like, okay, let's make it to where we can't run the Wu Yang on Control, because I feel like Control is one of those maps you can run either or pretty effectively, so you may as well drop it here, give yourself an advantage if you think you have that Lucio advantage.
Might as well, and we'll be loading into that Frozen Wonderland shortly but surely, and we'll see what these teams decide to do, because with those bans and now the map mode set, we've got an interesting position for both of these teams to come in. Void Ravens here still looking, like you had said, kind of coming in at the lower end of the Masters division. 1 win, looking for a little bit more, but they're on the middle end. Rat Milkers is on the lower end there. So for Void Ravens in particular, it's actually very interesting. They kind of really do want this, because we were talking about the kind of positioning right now for a lot of this NA Masters tier, and Void Ravens are really on that cusp of almost a top 4 position.
Yeah, they're like right there on the edge of it. They don't only want to win this, they would really like to 3 out of this, Though that map score can really matter when it comes to these sorts of things, because we do end up with teams having eerily similar records towards the end of the season. So yeah, the more map wins you can get, the better. And I believe they've only 3-0'd either way so far. Yeah, they've won their games 3-0 or lost 3-0, so they're pretty even in that aspect so far.
Yeah, and they're looking to try to pull that ahead. Meanwhile, the Rat Milkers on the other side, again, a little bit more of a struggle. They are kind of on that, like a different line in some ways. They're kind of teetering that line towards the top 8 cut. They're actually just shy of that top 8. So realistically, for the side of Rat Milkers, they kind of really need this. They really need this in a 3-0 to go their way.
Yeah, they really do. That's going to be tough, though. You know, Rat Milkers hasn't had the most success so far. So trying to find it against a team that has honestly been pretty successful so far in the Void Ravens. They had their one loss in a 3-0 fashion to, I believe it was Atlas Kasoku. I think that's who it was. I have to go look at the schedule again. But outside of that, they've really kind of been fairly dominant. But like I said, instantly we're seeing a difference in these compositions here where looks like Rat Milker's going to be going for this hazard setup, whereas the Void Ravens are going to be going for the what's more traditional at this point with this Zarya pick. And I don't know, I kind of like the Zarya over the hazard right now personally, so I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see Rat Milkers trying to play to the dive that works for them, but this is going to be quite an interesting place considering just the kind of shots that Hazard took realistically. Speaking of shots, Hunted on that angle now, just getting melted down, has to use both bubbles immediately and is caught out on the edge there, so Fish cleans that one up. Tank down means that Rat Milkers, you know, with that successful dive, will be able to kind of push through just a Tracer, looking and kind of hunting and pestering at the back line. Point uncap, but it's not quite there. Finally, we get the Tracer duel. Monkumi there looking for their counterpart, trying to complete that. Met by Zachary there to clean it up, and it will go the way of Rat Milkers.
Yeah, great look there from the Rat Milkers. That was a fantastic wall from Hammerpaw to just really catch Hunted out. Nobody able to really get over there. I was surprised I didn't see a Kiriko TP and then just a speed boost to try and maybe help out your tank there, but now, with Rat Milkers having control over this point, that is not where you want to be at.
Yeah, and the hazard is now dangerously low. Gets out of the 200, gets back to 200, but has to dive out of the way, has to wall and again throw up the block, but not enough. Hunted's got the charge to burn them down, and the rest of the Void Ravens are going to go ahead and take the presence surround, and 30% is all Rat Milkers get to before Void Ravens claim control.
And it all started with that Tracer 1v1. It's a very, very important duel that is going to happen in every one of these fights because it just gives so much map control to the other Tracer as soon as you take care of that 1v1. And, I mean, here we are again, just seeing Rat Milker start to advance here.
Yeah, they're advancing from that outside ank, and Mokumi does manage to get one. It looks like Altaria maybe missed, blinked a little too far off to the side, so that's two up the sides of Rat Milkers, and an easy fight to go their way, but, I mean, no one's really contesting. The tanks just fighting out on the front. The dive in back from Hazard, very quick to clean up Hunted on the Zarya. Take the point back in control and just looking for stragglers here. 36, and Rat Milkers will quickly overtake that.
And super important fight coming up here. We have pulse bombs available on both sides. One comes out from Monkumi, doesn't catch anything, but there's still the other pulse bomb available from Altaria, as well as dueling Kitsune rushes, and then that sound barrier advantage for Fish might come in clutch here.
That's going to have to build up the rest of the way there. Monkumi falls dangerously low, but in this small room, it does get Kitsune, it does get the out, and it does get the Suzu out, but Nerve is in the bad place. Does manage to trade Fish for it, but it's not enough. Hammerpod now also dangerously pushed back up, and the rest of the Void Ravens are going to take advantage of that. They catch the Tracer out on the flank. Link's looking for someone, but it's the rest of the team on the point going to switch back, and Rat Milkers, they'll still build a little bit longer. They'll get it to about 68%. Back and forth here, Shadow.
Oh, that was such a good kill by the Void Ravens, getting Fish. Like that, like I said, right before it happened, I caster cursed. The sound barrier was going to be very important for the side of Rat Milkers, and so not having that online ended up being pretty crucial. But here come all the ultimates available for both sides here, so there's going to be an insane ult trade coming here shortly.
Yeah, everything is ready to come out. That grab surge is the first one there, but it's met by a sound barrier and the Kitsune rush. Still managed to lose Motakumi through it, though, as well. Sound barrier on the other side from Gollygoggin. But it is enough. It's later, and Hammerpot manages to get one, but it looks like the rest of Void Ravens are still there to fight. The Hazard back in a little bit deeper, but not quite able to confirm the kill. The Tracer has to blink back and catches them there. Altaria is going to get out of the way, and Rat Milkers stabilize after what could have been a very dangerous fight. They'll put some pressure on the point now and try to get control here as it rounds 80 for the Void Ravens. The Tracer Altaria is there to kind of contest it, but it's still not for now. Kitsune Rush % on point, but Lynx gives life for it. The Deadeye is good as well. It's 2 up for the Void Ravens, but they trade immediately back here. Hunted with this high charge. Zarya is just so strong, just burning through everybody else. Hammerpaw has no place to go with this beam on them. It gives the bubble out, and the pulse bomb goes a little bit wide, missing the Zarya now. 99% overtime ticking down for the side of Void Ravens. They just have to get a great alternate shot from Hunted, cleans it up, and they take sub-map 1.
And I mean, I really feel like we started to see the advantage of running that Zarya there towards the end of that map. the longer the fight goes on, the stronger the Zarya gets. And it was always the fights that somebody was just taken down really early for the Void Ravens. As soon as that happens, you can focus down that Zarya significantly easier, not allow those bubbles to, give high charge, and then you have this just, mountain of a tank that you're trying to deal with. So pretty much every time Void Ravens just didn't die super, super early, it was gonna eventually go their way. So that's kind of the win conditions between these two teams here. Rat Milkers has to get kills incredibly quickly. Void Ravens just needs to survive long enough that your Zarya gets that high charge.
For now, it'll be the Winston coming through here, changing it up for the Rat Milkers, but the Zarya still just pelting away with those alternates. Gets in the faces of the Rat Milkers and just will score them down to that. Hammerpaw trying to jump back up, drops the bubble, knows the Zarya is there. Zarya has a bubble of her own, gets the second one out as well, but it's just not enough to clean it up. Sees a target in the back, but meanwhile the Void Ravens, they go forward, just run on past, and Altaria having a field day with the backline of the Rat Milkers. Great set of just pincer maneuver from the side of the Void Ravens to get the official capture.
Hammerpaw said, I'm going to get my one. If I'm at least going down, somebody's going with me. So, kudos to Hammerpaw, at least getting the one there. You're happy to get that trade. And Zachary going to swap over to this Cass as well, which I don't think is necessarily a bad swap, but I feel like Cass Tracer might be generally a better lineup for you here, because you don't really have anybody that's going to deter Altaria at this point outside of this Cass.
No, they don't, but it's going to be just the Tracers going in at it for now. I'm actually blinking back into the rest of the Rat Milkers. Gets a bubble to live for now, and just, again, just great separation there. But Nerf taking a bit of damage elsewhere, just taking a bunch of pain from that as Mankumi falling dangerously low over on that Genji. It's 2v2 in the back line here for the Rat Milkers. Not quite able to really get a lot of fight going into this as the point round's 40. Zarya in the front, the Hunted. Looking, eventually falls to Zachary in the front. The Winston dive back in. Hammerpaw gets 2 to help clean it up in the front. And once again, the Rat Milkers, they punch back hard.
They absolutely have been so far. And it really does just feel like Void Ravens just get a little split every so often. Like right there, the whole team was just kind of split apart from Hunted. And it really just allowed that Zarya to just slowly get picked off. And I mean, with the Zarya comp, you kind of want to play more together. So I would say that going forward, you want to stay with that core, have that Kiriko, the Cass, and the Zarya just kind of near each other.
Hiding in there, met by the Genji deflect, no dice for either side. They're not getting what they want, but Lynx in the meanwhile in the back does manage to punish Mankumi there on that flank bubble for the Lucio, and eventually they get run down on the side of the Rat Milkers while Hammerpaw still managing to chase one down. Some amount of work in the back, eventually met by Merv and again, but it just feels like there's a bit of a disconnect from the Rat Milkers just fighting, like you had said, from so much, where this Void Ravens team, they're playing together and they are running through them. They get back control 60 and climbing.
Well, like I said, Hammerpaw is going to get their one every time. That's going to happen, right? They're at least going to get that trade every single time. That has been very consistent from this Winston. And Shay at some point must have dropped a Kitsune Rush there. I didn't notice it, but that did happen, so that puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage. Hunted does launch this grab, though.
High Noon into that grab. Pulse Bomb there as well. Neither really finding value, but the Rat Milker come up with Mankumi showing up huge. Good for 3, paired with one more from Hammerpaw. Looking for the 4th. Mankumi, who's been struggling earlier in this match, finally comes up with a big moment.
Oof. Nice just dash resets over and over again from Mankumi. And we're going to actually see the Void Ravens opt to go this Winston comp as well. I mean, it makes sense here. This map has this little high ground on it, so having the ability to just get up and down with the Winston is incredibly useful here.
And I have to. So Winston dove in, but eventually gets once again punished on the other side from Hunted this time, after trying to make that swap and match. So not quite able to make the dive over. They'll get out of the way for now. Mankumi going to go on hunt for those late picks, buying a little bit more time. Rat Milker's over to 70% now, so we are nearing that last fight.
Nearing last fight for sure, and Void Ravens just need to stop splitting. They're just splitting so hard, it's causing them to lose these fights every so often here. And here we are with Primal coming out.
That Primal comes out from Hammerpaw. They get the extra boost, and they manage to find one. High Noon now coming in is met by the Sound Barrier from Gollywaggon, but that is, I mean, it's enough to stop the Angry Monkey for now, met by the Sound Barrier of Fish. And meanwhile, Monkumi goes in with that blade of their own, gets the one they're looking for. And Rat Milkers are not out of this yet. They're looking for those last-minute kills as we are rounding to that 100% number. There's no one really there to touch. Lucio going to try to make a touch. No touch, and Rat Milkers take sub-map too.
And I mean, it happened again right there, right? Void Ravens just kind of splitting a little too hard in a lot of these fights. I don't know. It feels like the dives are a little bit uncoordinated. And then on the Zarya, like I said, we would see like almost 2 separate fights happening where you would see Hunted, and then it was like just Hunted, and then you would see maybe like the Kiriko, Lucio, and maybe the cast just off somewhere else. And again, you kind of have to play somewhat together for the comp to work its magic. If you get split at all, it's going to be easy to just get bubbled off by that Winston and just burnt down.
Yeah, really putting a lot of pressure on those very diveable cast targets. So here we go, point 3 Icebreaker. We'll go back in, Tracers back out for the side of Altaria. And back to the point we go. Nerve just going ahead. They're going to fire in now as we get both of those perks online. Just try to keep the pressure on there. The Zarya back out from Hunted. Felt confident enough to bring it back out here as they'll finally get the dive. The Winston's in, but immediately gets punished for as the bubble comes down and gets out of the way. Zach fires back with one more of their own and has to get out barely alive. Eventually gets run down. Hunted, full charge, just burning through the rest of the Rat Milkers, and I see why they wanted to come back to this, Shadow.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. This is a map where, this sub-map in particular, it's incredibly hard to split. Right, so the issues that they were having on the last point, it's almost impossible for that to happen on this point, unless you walk about this far forward, then it might happen.
Oh, dangerously, I say. Hunted plays a little bit too much with fire there, gets punished for it, and the rest of the Rat Milkers will catch up. 20 and climbing, while the rest of the stragglers get pushed away, so maybe a little bit too aggressive.
Just testing the limits a little bit too much there.
Yeah.
Underestimating what the side of Rat Milkers can actually do to you. And then just kind of splitting from your Lucio there as well. If you're Hunted, you got to trust that your Lucio's got that amp available, and you just need to amp out as fast as you can, get to your Kiriko as soon as possible.
Flanks getting contested here. Monkumi just going to go ahead and keep this Tracer in check. And meanwhile, on main, the 3 from Void Ravens just trying to look through that long-range kind of single shot from Cass, just trying to pepper in the damage, win the duel. And meanwhile, Hunted looking on that front line, trying to somebody bets Lynx, who opens it up on the dig. High Noon now coming up from Nerve. They'll speed in through the bubble, does find one through as they break it through. A huge play for the Void Ravens to swing this back in their way for a low investment. And I mean, they managed to get the one. Nerve almost died for it, but it was worth the gong.
I told you, Hammerpaw is going to get that one every single time. That's been a consistent thing throughout this entire map. Every fight Rat Milkers lose, Hammer is taking at least one with them. But coming into this next fight, we got dueling Kitsune rushes. That's going to take up a good bit of time here. Altaria needs to land a big pulse bomb here, though, if you're the Void Ravens.
There's that High Noon. No Kitsune rush for it. Does manage to catch Gollywaggon out, though. Just caught out on the side once again, like you'd called out. But that's enough to do it. The Kitsune rushes come out, and the Primal now from the side of Hammerpaw, looking for the rest. Pushes the team back, but maybe goes a little too far again. His Nerve is there to stop them. Graviton Surge doesn't catch anybody necessarily, but it does enough for the Zarya to hold through. Dangerously low there. Can't quite get healed up on the point. Did flip the way of Rat Milkers in the meantime, and Nerve eventually falls into that duo there in the back. Hinders good, but there's Zachary walks into 3 and eventually takes the wrong turn down the wrong alleyway. So again, this flips the way of Rat Milkers.
Great job there from Rat Milkers. Hammerpaw, while not getting anybody directly with the Primal Rage, splits the side of Void Ravens hard enough that the rest of the Rat Milkers are able to come in and just win that fight, essentially because of the splitting that occurred there. Monkumi going to have this blade online here. Both sides are going to have sound barriers. And then, of course, the High Noon as well available right now.
Yeah, it's there, but it's used immediately to kind of push away the Winston. No dice as the Banshee now in with that. Oh, what a great deflect into the High Noon. Beautifully done. Altaria strikes back with one of their own, but it's the damage done for the Rat Milkers as those ultimates committed is just enough to keep this going. 92% means that they might take this map. One, the Doomfist is out from Hunted, but they have a lot to fight through before they get it. Sombra there as well. Nerve is going to make it. No gets booped away and then punished. No touch for the side of Void Ravens. So the Rat Milkers kick it off here in game 1.
Oh, and I mean, it looked so good for Void Ravens for a vast majority of that map. But again, it really felt like they got overconfident and were just overstepping their boundaries a lot, just going a little bit too far into the back line of Rat Milkers and thinking they wouldn't get punished for it.
Yeah, as I say, considering we saw pretty frequently Rat Milkers, like you called out, they just kind of got split a lot of the time. We always saw Hammerpaw got that one, but it was usually at the cost of the whole. It was usually at the cost of the fight win, right? Like you kind of maybe went a little too deep, maybe missed the dive, your backline just got walked right on. And then we see in game 3, it just feels like they kind of everything just clicked together. Maybe they, I'd love to have heard those comms because it felt like everything just kind of changed once we got to the Icebreaker submap.
Yeah, it absolutely did. It was really fascinating to watch, quite frankly, because it was such a dominant performance from the Void Ravens in that first sub point. And then it was like just simply, and this is why I'm such a Winston believer, it was like simply adding in the bubble was enough. That was all that was needed. The bubble just blocking off some healing was enough. It was the same principle as the hazard, because it seemed like that's what they were also trying to do with the hazard, was just wall somebody off. But significantly easier to do that with a Winston bubble than it is to try and block with the hazard wall.
Yeah, it is. I think the other thing that is worth paying attention to there is that Mayumi there over on the Genji really kind of struggled in that first submap too. It felt like they were really kept in check until they came over to that Genji where they found their kind of legs.
Yeah, they seem to much prefer the Genji over the Tracer, and the duel didn't end up mattering as much on that Tracer. I thought it was going to matter a lot more than it ended up actually mattering, and I really think it was just the back line. Shay in particular was really, really good throwing those kunais around.
Yes.
I think that was deterring Altaria a good bit, as well as having, I believe it was Nerve on that cast.
Yes. I mean, yeah, exactly. Well, it will be the Void Ravens pick. We are awaiting their map mode choice, and they also get the choice of first ban or not, which more than likely they will. But knowing what we know about what bans have been picked and what we've seen, Shadow, where do you think the Void Ravens are going to look to go to even this out?
Well, based on the fact that I really do think that they're stronger at the Brawl Zarya style comp, I would say we go somewhere like a Saravasa is a solid choice. You could go with something like a Havana. I think Havana would actually be pretty solid because then you can remove Watchpoint Gibraltar from being a potential map.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. So that's my 5-head thinking right there.
So that's your 5D chest there is take away the good. I like it. I respect it. I think that's a great decision. We do know that Reaper and Wu Yang, both two very strong picks, were the initial first ban outs as well, so they'll be free for a little while. I mean, do you think we're just gonna end up seeing like Zarya just get taken away on one side, or do you think we're gonna be playing up on that? Do you think we're gonna be playing around the Zarya and like protecting that maybe on the ban side?
It's certainly a possibility. Like, it could be as simple as banning out the Winston, but I think you save that for a potential Gibraltar. If Gibraltar does eventually come into play, I think that's where you do the Winston ban. So in this case, I would honestly say ban hazard. If you really want to protect the Zarya like that, just get rid of the hazard, because that's another thing the Rat Milkers really like to play.
Well, speaking of the map, we've got it in now, and Shadow, this is exactly why you are here on the desk, because it is going to be Saravasa. And yeah, I mean, exactly like you said, it sounds like they want to keep the brawl going. So now map has been decided, and now first pick for the Void Ravens. I don't know that you're going to ban, like you said, I don't think you're going to ban out Winston here, but I do think the question is now, like, what do you do instead of that? Because are you, like you said, going to try to protect your tank? Are you going to try to take away some other DPS pick maybe? Because I don't know that you're necessarily terrified of their DPS line or support line so far, and right now, like, that's kind of the only thing in their way.
You could ban Genji here.
Ooh,
we didn't see Monkumi do as well in the Tracer duel. So if that's something you want to do, just get rid of the Genji and say, yeah, you can play the Winston again if you want to, but you're not going to have the Genji available to you. I think that wouldn't be a bad pick either.
It'll be the Cassidy instead. An interesting choice from them. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that either, because they are, like they played Cass also, so Rat Milkers will get a chance to respond back. And I mean, surely they just get rid of Zarya.
Well,
Surely?
Let me think here for a minute. Let me think. I'm going to guess like something off the wall here. I'm gonna guess Lucio. I don't know if that's gonna be it though. Nope, Zarya.
No, they are just gonna get okay. They're just gonna take the Zarya out. That's. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like that is the tank you are kind of struggling with. It's what they prefer to play. So I guess it makes sense. I think the Cassidy Void Raven pick is the most interesting of the two, though.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that because it felt like the cast duel was pretty even, but I did feel like the Genji was making a big difference there towards the end. The deflects were coming in really clutch a lot, so I'm a little perplexed by the cast pick as well.
All right, well, we do also, along with that, have a sub coming in on the side of Void Ravens. Quexion will come in probably because of that cast ban, is my guess. Maybe we've realized... I mean, I see the Genji, so it feels like maybe we're looking toward that Genji duel instead, is what the obvious look here is, right?
Yeah, it does seem to be that way, and then I'm going to guess Nerve is going to play something like a Sojourn instead, because I know Nerve was playing that cast on map number 1 there, so... That would be my guess, at least. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, that's well, I mean, they may go to the Reaper. Reaper is unbanned with that.
Yeah,
maybe. Remember, we have Reaper back in play now, so it's very, I mean, it's very possible your hit scan does kind of tend to go over towards that instead.
Well, there's no Zarya available either, so I'm not sure.
That's true.
I'm not sure if you play the Reaper without the Zarya. You could do like the old what was it? The old season 5 of OWCS comp with the Winston.
The zombie
Reaper.
comp, yeah.
You could do that. It's looking like the Void Ravens is going to be looking at like a diva here. Now, again, I'm a Winston believer. I think that Winston, generally speaking, is better for the team than diva tends to be. But I think the Wu Yang is better than the Lucio right now, and especially having to deal with running into the Reaper as well. If you're the Winston, this is going to be very hard. Rat Milkers have to play this kind of perfectly because of exactly what they're having to play into.
Well, it will be the Reaper coming in on the side of Void Ravens, probably because they know the Winston is there. So there's an extra little bit of a deterrent for the Winston, as it looks like Rat Miracles are going to take the long way around. Nerve did find them on there, and Vishnek gets their counterpart from that flank. It looks like Void Ravens are caught a little bit looking on this initial pick, so they'll be fighting this first start man down, but Nerve didn't really get quite caught out there, haven't quite figured out where they are. Point opens up now, and they make the dive in. Rat Milkers are there, just pressuring away. Monkumi gonna go ahead and get this back angle onto the Reaper. Eventually dashes through, good for 5 HP. Tries to deflect, but is back gone. Gollywhack, and there's that Wu Yang difference you're talking about. Nerve follows up with one of their own. The wave is there to keep everybody healed up a little bit more, and suddenly this fight that was looking good for Rat Milkers isn't quite looking at. Nerve has to recall their way out, but Hunted is there to follow it up with 3 for their own. And well, you might be a Winston believer, but the diva has made a statement.
It really all started with the Wu Yang kill right there, because Shay trading out Lynx at the very beginning really made me feel like that was going to go the Rat Milkers' way. But then the Wu Yang, that's the thing, right? When the Kiriko goes down for Rat Milkers, you don't have much healing left. That's not the case, though, when you have a Kiriko and a Wu Yang.
Yeah, you have 2 healing sources, but they can't help that diva who's just been debacked, and now Zachary over here just trying to go ahead and turret their way this onto the Void Ravens point. Still looking for more dive on Bubble in. Quexion does manage to trade for 1 here. Pulse Bomb goes a little bit wide, misses Zachary, and the Rat Milkers still continue to get this control. They'll get the control on the land, and the rest of Void Ravens will go back to spawn. 64 for the Void Ravens, so still plenty of fights to go.
There absolutely is. I got to shout out Shay again. I mean, Shay's been excellent on this Kiriko. Just getting final blow after final blow with these kunais. And coming into this next fight, look at that insane Kitsune rush advantage, right?
Yeah.
It's only 60% available for Lynx. Like you're gonna have such an easy fight here if you're the side of Rat Milkers with this Kitsune rush.
But Hunted is there on the high ground. The Winston dives in and gets immediately punished for that. Hunted goes a little bit deep trying to push for a second, but does enough there. Quexion just managed to follow up with another one of their own, and the DPS line from the Void Ravens are in the back. They're looking. Recall from Nerve has to try to get out of the way. And Shay again cracks it open for 1 on the way out the door, but it goes back to the point of Void Ravens. 66 to 70 and climbing, still fighting out here as the Winston dives back in. But Hunted gets Shay out of the way there and just keeps that matrix up. The Winston, no no place to go, has to dive out of the way. D.Va bullet rocketing in there, trades the mech for the Winston, but you don't really care there so far. Blade sent in now to that, but it's not enough. It does manage to get one, but it's nothing there. The self-destruct does manage to get nothing but a new mech, and meanwhile the point finally just capped for the Void Ravens. So all of that for nothing. The Void Ravens keep the point one.
I really think that was just like a huge mistake to not pop that Kitsune Rush super early if you're the Rat Milkers. Like, you should know, just based on the fact that you've gotten those kills so early in the fight, you have an insane Kitsune advantage, and you just need to play into that. And then you don't do that, and the side of Void Ravens isn't going to just let you walk back onto the point and pop that ultimate. So that was good use of that by the Void Ravens.
Good use of them. Point here. Firmly in the control of Rat Milkers, but just about to unlock. As the D.Va dives in, Sound Barrier is there. It's met by that Kitsune Rush of Lynx, and the D.Va falling danger Celeste to get out of the way, but it followed up and chased down. Hammerpaw does get there one. Looking for more now as they go a little bit deeper, but the point will go the way of the Rat Milkers, and they'll chase the rest of the Ravens out here. So pretty low budget cost for the side of the Rat Milkers.
Yeah, you're not mad at that at all. You get the sound barrier out, but that's what you can't have happen, and that's the Wu Yang difference right there, just having that damage come in. Quexion going to have this Death Blossom online, and once that bubble's out of the way, this should be a pretty free one.
Oh, no bubble needed. It gets pushed out of the way and in past it is good for one, but there's Hammerpaw's one in that Primal looking for more, trying to find a target, sees the Reaper come out, trying to bat them away. Some great mechanics there, just catches the Reaper out of the way and still just trying to fight while they get the rest of this point up 15, climbing for the side of the Rat Milkers. They need to keep a touch though, and the Reaper and the Winston has to get out of the way. 60% eventually gets punished by Nerve, and a respectable hold there, 65. Void Ravens once again have some work to do.
Yeah, 60%. You're not mad at all with that. Nerve going to have this Pulse Bomb online for the Void Ravens. The Tidal Wave getting very close for Gollyguagan here, and not really much available for the Rat Milkers. Like I said, they've just kind of mistimed their ultimates a lot so far this map. They had such a good advantage, and they just haven't really been able to cash in on it, and now we're seeing the Void Ravens to cash in on that ult advantage.
Yeah. D.Va goes in, sends that self-destruct, but gives their life for it, not quite able to get anything. Stick onto the Sojourn is good, and Gollyguagan follows it up with another one. And meanwhile, the point, again, we just kept this so far off point. The Void Ravens just not giving an inch of space here.
Yeah, Void Raven's doing a great job of just playing aggressively, and that's what you need to do when you have the point control, when you have the ult advantage. You just need to play super, ultra aggressively, and I would expect here that either Nerve or Quexion is going to receive this wave and just kind of int right into the back line and try and get some knockdowns.
Quexion, go ahead, sees him on the point there, as meanwhile, just onto the point. It looks like we found the main fight. Just trying to keep these sidelines going. Major perk online now, but Hunted again with those missiles just fires down on one. Overtime hits in his ticks, and these early fights just try to make sure, but the Brig now fall, and it looks like Nerve just in the back line, not able to do it. It's a desperate play from Monkumi. They aren't quite able to, they're able to get two, but it's not enough. They give their life for that point, and it just goes the way of Void Ravens. A desperate play, but it was worth the try.
Yeah, it was a really solid effort, but now you're looking at double support ults available from the Void Ravens as well. So that's the really bad part, because you don't have anything to speak of if you're Rat Milkers here. So you have to somehow get through a Kitsune Rush and a Tidal Blast while simultaneously having nothing of your own to really do anything about it with. The closest thing you are, Zachary could get this overclock, and you just kind of have to hope for that.
Gollyguagan just on that flank. There's the D.Va, just a missile in herself. Manages to burn down one with the help of Nerve on the Tracer. There's the full teamwork we're expecting. Has to get out of the way. And the Void Ravens now just playing, again, this very aggressive style. They get the Winston, they get the Wu Yang, and a nice, easy team kill as the point opens.
I mean, that's what Kitsune Rush can do for you right there. Kitsune Rush, one of the best ultimates in the game still to this day, and you can see exactly why right there. And, I mean, look at this ult advantage that Void Ravens have right now. Zachary does have the overclock available, but Void Ravens has everything. That was a roll. That was a roll that just happened right there.
Okay, I see why Hammerpaw.
Yeah, you can definitely see why Hammerpaw is looking for that, and we're seeing the Tidal Blast come out. Does knock down Hammerpaw. Hammerpaw going to get low, get eventually taken out by Hunted right there, and that probably will force a retreat from the side of the Rat Milkers. You really don't want to stagger yourself out here if you're Zachary. Good job just not dying. And now coming into this next fight, we're going to see Quexion have this Death Blossom online and available.
Hopefully that will be enough because it's 78 here. It's match point for the side of the Void Ravens, and they're still firing in this aggressive positioning from them. Just trying to end. That's the Death Blossom gets immediately shut down from the side of Void Ravens. So they'll get 3, and they'll just end this right now. They are done playing games. But it looks like Rat Milkers are trying to get a little bit of control. Hammerpaw just desperately trying to roll through that point. No dice here. Overtime's going to tick down. Void Ravens strike back on map 2.
And I mean, you can really tell the difference in when they have the Wu Yang available to them and when they don't. And Rat Milkers just really not wanting to opt for that mirror was costing them pretty heavily throughout that entire map. Because as good as Lucio is, Lucio cannot do Wu Yang levels of damage and healing.
No, not even close. Maybe the healing, but I don't even think that would be the case. A beautiful stick from Nerve. Like, Void Raven's just absolutely... You can just tell it seems like they're just not maybe they're just not that's like the curse, right? They're just not like a King of the Hill team. Like, that happens all the time, right? Is they just lose that. But I mean, the other part could be, now that we've seen some different comps, it feels like maybe they were, kind of so stun locked by the dive they weren't expecting to play it, and once they were able to match it, they just kind of conquered it. That just is, at least that's what it kind of looked like from the general eye view.
That could be the case because, like, as a player, I tend to struggle. If you give me something that directly counters something, I struggle with it. But if you just let me mirror exactly what the other person is doing, I find it so much easier to do that because you could just trade those cooldowns. It becomes a much simpler battle.
Yeah, sometimes it's just getting into those basics, but we've got a basic 1-1 tie here. Going into game 3, we're going to take a quick break to get everything together, and we'll be back in just a minute. We're tied up here in this NA Masters Week 5 game. I'm so random here.
And I'm Shadowfang. As you can see, he had a little pause happen right there. There he goes. He's off into the ether. Perhaps he'll rejoin us shortly. But we are in a tied game right now. Void Ravens and Rat Milkers at 1 apiece. And I mean, it's been really competitive so far. I've been really happy with what I'm seeing. Void Ravens having a really nice recovery though on that last submap of Saravasa, and just absolutely killing it. I think primarily due to having that Wu Yang available to them, not being forced into the Lucio mirror. So I would have to imagine that's probably going to continue to happen, because I don't believe the Wu Yang is available anymore, as I do believe the Rat Milkers are the ones that banned it map 1. So there is no chance that that's going to happen here. I am a little curious as to what map they are going to pick, though, and it looks like they have gone with New Queen Street, which I do find fascinating. I would think that the Rat Milkers would want to go with something like a Gibraltar. They seem to really favor those dive compositions, but I don't know. They did also just struggle on the last map, going into basically a dive mirror in a sense. One team playing the Winston, the other playing the D.Va. But with that being said, we do have the ban phase to get into as well. And going into that ban phase, Rat Milkers are going to have that first ban.
Yes.
And I am very curious as to what they're going to go with here. I'm thinking, with it being New Queen Street, Rat Milkers having the pick here. They can't get rid of the Wu Yang, and I feel like that was the biggest thing that was really giving them issues last map. So what could we do here?
Yeah, I feel like the Wu Yang, with the Wu Yang being kind of off the table because they already get rid of it, I feel like you're more a little bit concerned. Maybe you're getting the D.Va off the table. It does protect your Winston, right? Like New Queen Street, not necessarily a great dive map, but it does allow you to play ball, which does work in your favor. So maybe you try to protect your tank line. I could buy that.
Tracer, that's another good one too. Rat Milkers was generally losing the Tracer duel, so forcing it into more of just something else. Maybe they don't mirror the Genji, but they go for something. I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, that still makes sense as Void Ravens' chance now to strike back, and they've been spending their time in the DPS out, so maybe this is their chance. Maybe they're just going to get rid of the Winston. Maybe they're terrified of that ball for a minute. I don't know, but I have to imagine they're probably eyeing the tanks.
I would think so here. Brigida's not a bad choice either. It takes the Ana Brig out of the equation. I'm not sure if Ana Brig was going to come into the equation, but it could have. And so it's never a bad pick per se.
I mean, they did show the Brig very briefly in Saravasa there, so like I don't hate that, but I do think it was an interesting choice. Like Brigitte's not really that strong right now, like you said, unless you're playing on a Brig, and even that doesn't really get a lot of play. It's interesting to see how we're kind of, almost playing around the lack of Wu Yang players on the side of Rat Milkers wasn't playing it. Oh, sorry, Rat Milkers wasn't playing it, but it's interesting how we're kind of like, avoiding the Wu Yang question here, kind of.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why that is exactly. Maybe they just aren't as comfortable on it as they are on, say, the Lucio. That would be my guess. But it is a major disadvantage because you just lose that poke duel so hard if you don't have the Wu Yang on your side as well.
I guess maybe Void Ravens just don't want to deal with the anti flanker. I mean, let's be real, they've been running a lot more of those flankers, and especially on a place like New Queen Street, like that does work in your favor. But New Queen Street here, as we are tied up 1-1, is going to be it. And I'm with you, Shadow. Like these are kind of some of the more interesting ban outs we've seen. And considering we saw Hammerpaw eventually end up on ball, I'm kind of wondering if that maybe is going to make another appearance. This is kind of one of those few push maps where ball kind of is playable.
Yeah, you can grapple onto a lot of these buildings. There's room for ball to operate. And it looks like we're already having a pause come out from Hunted. So, typical gameplay things, but I am seeing, out the corner of my eye right there, it was looking like that Wrecking Ball composition was going to be coming out for the side of the Rat Milkers, and they were going for Tracer's closest replacement, having that soldier available.
Well, I mean, it could have been the Sombra, but I do think Soldier. Soldier's always like an interesting character in a lot of ways. Like when you need someone who's good on flanks, that's kind of self-sustainable, that's not Tracer. He ends up, like you say, kind of being like a budget Tracer. But I don't know. I feel like you'd rather almost just have Sombra in some ways instead.
You very well could. I think that would work too. I think Sombra's playstyle is so what's the word? It's so niche that
Yeah, it is.
you may be able to do hit scan things. You might not be able to do the Sombra thing because it's just so different from every other hero. It's like when you see somebody come in just to play like a Freya or something. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's like a hit scan, but it's also
like a
like
niche
projectile thing. So it's just like,
Yeah, it's just a niche enough hero. The Soldier may not even stay, but it looked like they were going to run the Diva on the side of Void Ravens as well. And I mean, I can't rightfully blame them. I actually think that looked better than their like Zarya Reaper kind of brawly comps, honestly.
Yeah, it did. It looked really, really dominant, quite frankly. And yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to get through that if you're Rat Milkers, especially trying to run the ball into it because you just have such an absurd amount of spam damage that's coming through, and you don't have Tracer available to you to help your ball out.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much entirely dependent on your Genji making it back there while not taking very much poke damage, which again, I think is really difficult going into this exact composition. There's just an absurd amount of poke damage coming out from Void Ravens.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough for Rat Milkers, who did tie it up in game 2. Void Raven, I'm sorry, who did lose that second map. They won map 1 on control, but Void Ravens did tie it back up. So, we're still trying to see if the control map curse is, still scientifically a thing. We know back in Overwatch 1 that was constantly a thing for the 3-1s, but we're still trying to debate it now. And, knowing where these teams will stand in the rank.
Yeah, exactly. I'm right there with you, Soev. It's a really solid point you were making there. But with that being said, I'm really curious to see how this ball works when you run it for the entire map as opposed to just kind of the swap in the middle of the map like we saw in Saravasa. Coming out and knowing you're going to play with the Wrecking Ball is a lot different than swapping to a Wrecking Ball mid-map. And that is the thing I'm definitely going to be curious to see because of that. But with us having a decent little pause here and Soav having some little difficulties. Well, okay. Looks like we're getting ready to unpause here momentarily. So hopefully Void Ravens has figured out their keyboard issue or monitor issue, whatever sort of thing that they had going on there. And here we are. We're looking at a Diva comp with a Reaper, Sojourn, and then the Kiriko and the Wuyang for the side of the Void Ravens. And the Rat Milkers going to be looking at this Wrecking Ball based composition with a Genji and a Soldier, and then Kyria Lucio. I really just think Void Ravens comp is better. I do think Quexion doesn't really have a solid target to go on here, though. There's nobody that Reaper can really just get on top of very easily here.
Yeah, it is kind of a tough pick. I guess that you're expecting to try to burn out the Reaper, like you're trying to burn out the Hammond still a little bit, but that Diva is just in your face, and Zachary now has to get out of the way. Lucio and Toll, they'll throw down the pack, but it's done its job enough for the Void Ravens. They're just kind of, you can see it, they're just chasing away all these kind of small poke targets.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And Hammerpaw getting knocked down insanely low on that ball, but getting all the way to that mega health pack. And Hunted taking down Monkumi. There's the power of that Diva coming right into play. Slam does get missed there by Hammerpaw. And they're just getting eviscerated so quickly on this ball. Zachary getting Quexion is something you definitely want to see if you're the side of the Rat Milkers, though. Puts you in a really good position. But again, Hunted getting Hammerpaw, and Hammerpaw is just getting burnt down so hard by the side of the Void Ravens. Shay does trade out Nerve right there, but that is going to be a complete team wipe for the side of the Void Ravens. Not going to manage to get that last stagger, though, as the last player runs away there for the Rat Milkers. Going to get relatively close to this checkpoint here in just a moment. And if you're Hammerpaw, you really should get out right now and just reset and
Yeah.
wait for the rest of your team to get back.
Yeah, so you're.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, so Ev. That's a fantastic point you had to make there. And Nerve getting Zachary. Again, it really just feels like it's kind of chaotic right now for Rat Milkers. Like, they can't really get their footing underneath them. One thing that Hammerpaw is doing, though, is continuously staggering this point out. But again, you're just getting annihilated. And you got saved by a tree right there because Nerve completely lost track of Hammerpaw because of those leaves. Insane amount of ultimates online. The mines come out early from Hammerpaw, and we're going to see that Tidal Blast go on to the side of Hunted, and it does manage to catch Zachary out right there, and down goes Shay as well. Monkumi trading out Quexion though, and then Hunted getting Monkumi, so not going to get much done on that Genji. And going to have to retreat here. And that's going to be the checkpoint gotten for the side of the Void Ravens. And they still have a lot of their ultimates online. I don't know. I think this is the point in time you kind of need to swap to something. We're going to see the Zarya swap. So not a bad choice going into that Diva. Can maybe get some high damage off. But at that point, I would kind of want to get the Reaper available to you too if you're the Rat Milkers. And here we go, looking at this next fight. A lot of ultimates being exchanged here. We're going to see the overclock come out from Nerve. Not really able to see anybody just yet. Does get a nice headshot off. Monkumi with the blade. Goes down to that overclock of Nerve. And the bomb comes out as well from Hunted just to get the remech, really. The Wu Yang of Gollyguagan does go down, but you still have the Kiriko of Lynx. And Lynx going to have that Kitsune Rush online. Quexion getting Shay. And then Zachary immediately trading that out. Could end up being an important kill because the Death Blossom was available for Quexion. You're going to have the dueling Kitsune Rushes here, and you're going to have to pop those ultimates if you want to force the Void Ravens back. Looks like they're actually going to retreat by themselves, though. Honestly, a smart play. You know you don't have your Reaper, you don't have your Death Blossom, and you have 113 meters, so you're not really stressing this that hard if you're the Void Ravens.
I mean, you should be stressing because you did get to 113. You don't really need to stress here. You just need to wait it out. But it's going to be Kitsune Rush there in, met by the Sound Barrier and the Kitsune Rush from the side of Rat Milkers. But again, this Zarya just, again, from Hammerpaw this time, just trying to make sure they can keep the rest of this way. But this, oh man, Quexion goes in for a Death Blossom. Can't quite get it. And the Rat Milkers, they flip it back. They've still got a long way to go, though, Shadow.
Oh, they absolutely do. Luckily for them, though, it wasn't that expensive of a fight. But Void Raven's going to swap over and mirror the comp, and this is where it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, because now you don't have the Reaper available to you, and you don't have the Wu Yang, so that's a lot more damage that's going on to your Zarya that isn't going on to theirs.
That is something, but damage is kind of the name of the game here when you look at how much defense both of these characters have. First bubble is sent out, and Quexion is going to go ahead and push a little bit deeper in, has to wraith their way out for now. 5 minutes still on the clock is Gollyguagan going to go ahead and get back. Void Raven's just going to give some space. They know they don't need to necessarily win this. Tidal Wave's up and ready to go, but still just contesting the point. A great shot into Gollyguagan and a dash by Mikumi is good to stop that. Quexion going a little bit deeper, has to get out of the way again, and Nerve again with a rail just shoots one off. Zachary trades back with one of their own, and it is just trading here on this center point. Nerve again strikes back. It's the tank this time. So with Rat Milkers, they don't have that staying power necessarily. Fish managed to get one of their own, and again, just trade this back out. But the Void Ravens should surely win this point of attrition. Zarya out in high ground, no man's land there. Has to give up a little space, and we've stalled out at center.
Ooh, I really thought Monkumi was going to get caught out right there, but does manage to just barely get away. We're going to see just an absurd amount of ultimates available here for the side of the Rat Milkers. They got the grab, and they have the blade, which I think is a not terrible combo to go for here, so I would like to see something like that happen.
Yeah, grab combo would be a huge pickup.
And out comes the grab from Hammerpaw, and there's the blade to follow it up. Blade does get two, but Monkumi gonna have to go over here and try and get this last one, and does not manage to get Nerve. Nerve with a nice rail shot there. The Sojourn player doing such a good job here, but can't lose your one to that Lucio of Fish, and you don't. Great shot there from Nerve. And again, you can't get this really past the midpoint right now if you're Rat Milkers, and that's exactly where Void Ravens are. They're happy to just sit right here and trade this fight out over and over again. All right, coming into this next fight, Nerve going to be looking for this overclock here early. Hunted does have the grab online as well. And I think you're going to want to blast these ultimates off a little bit early. Fish getting close to that sound barrier, but if you can manage to get some kills before that comes online, it'd be huge. And there's the grab coming out, catching Zachary. Zachary does go down, but Monkumi trades out a Lynx immediately. Not a huge loss, but also the bot. The bot is being pushed right now by Nerve, so even if the Rat Milkers win this, it doesn't really matter that much because Nerve has done such a good job of pulling this bot all the way back and getting 2 more meters. I mean, what an insane play there from Nerve. That's like a 5-head play right there. Just remembering, oh yeah, the objective is what matters, not necessarily if we win this fight or not. And here we are back at this midpoint, just kind of fighting with this Wrecking Ball. Death Blossom does come out from Quexion. Doesn't manage to get any, but 2 do go down to the residual damage. Quexion heading for this back line. Nothing really to speak of here as Nerve takes down Zachary as well. And Sound Barrier going to be online from Fish, as well as the Tidal Wave, the Kitsune Rush, and the Overclock going to be available for the side of the Void Ravens. So again, you're in a disadvantageous position, and the bot is already continuing to push forward. And Gollygwagon taking down Fish, just continuing to show that why Wu Yang is such a crucial hero to be playing right now. Just absolutely dominant so far. There goes Quexion taking down Shay immediately. And, you know, again, Void Ravens, you're just kind of still chilling here. The Tidal Blast does come out, gets countered by the Sound Barrier coming out from Fish. But if you're Hunted, you do have this bomb if you have to use it, but it doesn't look like you're going to have to. Well, never mind. Here comes the bomb out from Hunted. You're going to have to get that remix somehow. And you know what? Let's just get a tactical reset there. That is a sequence of events that just happened, and Fish getting 2 kills as well there. I don't know what just happened right there. I'm fairly certain that Hunted just used a bomb. Or maybe Hunted didn't use their bomb because... Okay. That was a fascinating exchange that just happened right there. Rat Milker is going to have all their ults online except for this Sound Barrier, and there goes Monkumi popping the blade deep in the back line, but the supports that I keep talking about, how much poke damage they do, showing exactly how much poke damage they do. Hammerpaw getting 2 with the mines immediately is not something I had on the bingo card, though. And then going to get a 3rd here if they can just get that tracking on point. Wow. Great play from Hammerpaw to just take down 3. And that's going to give you a lot of cart push if you're the Rat Milkers. And this is exactly where you want to be at. You want to get this kill onto Nerve, though. There you go, getting the kill onto Nerve. Great job there from Hammerpaw.
Yeah, but it's going to take more than that one heroic play from Hammerpaw to get that. Like, you have to get so many more still. Zachary contesting the flank here as overtime's going to start ticking. But the Rat Milkers looks like they'll get to the checkpoint. Looks like they'll get the butt scratch there. And Zachary does manage to get 1 and get out with their life.
Zachary does get out with their lives right there, but then if you're the side of the Rat Milkers, you need to make sure that you use this Kitsune Rush incredibly effectively because it's the only ultimate that you have available to you, and I would advise using it early. And there it goes out. Tidal Blast does manage to get Shay, and there goes Monkumi. Zachary getting 1 with that tactical visor, but again, you have a full health Diva just in your back line right now, and that is going to do it. We're going to have to take down this Wrecking Ball, which is no easy feat, but it will eventually happen, and that's going to be Void Ravens taking the 2-1 lead here after map number 3. And I mean, honestly, it feels like ever since that Wu Yang has come off of the ban list, if you will, that it's just made all the difference in the world. Like, we're just seeing just so much more value coming out of that Wu Yang than we're seeing from the side of Rat Milkers.
I mean, it seems definitely, like you said, that Wu Yang was the difference maker. We kind of talked about it briefly before I entered the Void again and again, and still I'm in the Void. I'm still fighting my way out of the Void.
There he is, somewhere.
I'm in there, I promise. I'm still fighting my way out of the Void, but we'd seen this, you talked about it, like there is just a difference between the teams that are, the value you get out of Wu Yang versus the teams that don't tend to take it. And it's a difference maker, but pack in that soldier, the budget tracer, like you said, it just seemed like that combo just did so much more work.
Yeah, the soldier was definitely doing a good job there. It really was just like, I really like that Wu Yang Diva combo right now. It's providing so much value. You're able to just put that tidal wave right onto the Diva. The Diva's able to just ultra int into the back line just as hard as they want to, because you've got like, what is it, like 900, 1,000 to health?
Yeah.
Just something crazy like that. So you just basically can do whatever you want to while you have that ult on, and everybody that gets hit by it gets stunned. It's like, okay, let's give the most mobile tank. Well, Ball's probably the most mobile tank.
One of the most mobile.
But yeah, you give one of the most mobile tanks the ability to just do whatever they want to for a few seconds and stun the people that they get near. I mean, that's just a huge ultimate.
And that's if they don't die to the, the rocket missiles and the guns and just the tidal wave, the target of all of it all. So yeah, an interesting flex from the side of the Void Ravens now on match point. And hopefully I'll be able to stick around for match 4, because it will be the Rats pick. And well, we don't have a lot of choices left from the map. So where do we go from here? Where do we salvage this?
I think you gotta go Gibraltar. You probably can play Wu Yang on Gibraltar, but it seems like it would be really hard to play Wu Yang on Gibraltar. I don't know. I haven't played much Wu Yang myself, so I can't speak to it that well. But I just feel like it would be significantly easier to play a different support than Wu Yang on Watchpoint Gibraltar.
I mean, it does also, like you had kind of shouted out earlier, it does allow you to play the Winston or the Ball, which you had a lot of success on. Like, yeah, they're going to play the Diva, but realistically, that's probably your best shot. You don't want to try to take them in the ground game. Ham didn't look bad from the clips I saw of the Zarya, but it definitely wasn't enough to win, it felt like.
Well, I mean, that could be your play, actually. Go Gibraltar and ban Diva. That could also be your
that
play.
Could be it. That's a decent look. I actually like that. I mean, we saw the ban phase coming up, and it will likely be the Rat Milkers ban first. So maybe that is their plan. That does also then protect anything else they're looking for. They're not... I mean, Zarya, I think, and the rest of that's off the table, especially if they end up at Gibraltar. But so, like, it does protect your Winston, too. So maybe that's a decent read, is just go to Gibraltar and get rid of the Diva.
Yeah, the one time we've seen Rat Milkers have a ton of success, Wu Yang wasn't on the table. So that was the big thing. Wu Yang and Reaper weren't on the table. The two things that are kind of help Winston blow up faster. And I mean, we were seeing it a lot from Monkumi as well. When Monkumi was going for these blades, you were just getting hit by kunai and water bending and just instantly dying. It's a lot of damage to try and live through. So if you can even deter them from playing one of those two heroes, I think it would definitely be well worth it.
Well, not quite the escort map we were looking for, or the hybrid, I should say. We'll be Midtown, which is, say what you will, some call it Budget Kings Row, but I do think it's an interesting choice coming into this, because like you said, the dive team does kind of work here. It does look good in a lot of these places, and this does kind of work in their favor. I actually kind of see it.
I can definitely see this working in the favor of the Rat Milkers, but again, as we've seen, you're still playing a map that has decent sight lines for the Wu Yang, and that's the thing that I think is going to prove difficult, is just that spam coming in from the Void Ravens backline that is not coming in from the Rat Milkers backline, just because you're not playing the hero. So it's like you can't do anything about it. But with that being said, I would still probably ban Diva here. That would probably still be my pick.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at the things you want to protect and you want to get rid of, Diva and Diva's just impeccably a biggest part of your problem there. I don't think there's any DPS you're exceedingly concerned of. Like, Zachary on the 76 was not bad, but I don't think you're gonna, like, Tracer's back in place, so you're not gonna see it. Kiriko.
Like I said before, you can't ban the Wu Yang, so you can ban the Kiriko.
Okay.
And this is going to force a different comp out at the very, very least. You might end up with a Wu Yang Lucio, which has to be played very differently than a Wu Yang Kiriko does.
Yeah, and it's a lot more fragile of a comp too. So Void Ravens get the response now, and I mean, what are you afraid of? I don't see much.
No, I mean there's nothing here that would concern me. Okay, Sigma's not a bad shout. I
Sure.
think I would have went Genji because again,
Yeah.
Monkumi was losing that duel on the Tracer, but Monkumi has been pretty solid on the Genji for the rest of this game.
That's kind of my thought too. I don't, especially knowing that like Kiriko's off, like you said though, you're probably not going to be playing the same comp. The only other thing, like, what are the odds you're just gonna try to flip in a Baptiste though into something like that? Zarya Reaper comp is still not great. We've kind of seen that tried, but it hasn't been as successful. So we'll see if maybe there's some particular things coming out. We also don't know if there's any subs. There may not be, but it just looks like we're going to see, probably these two teams just running it back and maybe just trying to force each other into more awkward situations. Because remember, these bans kind of do take away that comfort level that comes with a lot of these meta comps we've seen.
No, it absolutely does. And I mean, getting rid of the Sigma too, you can play like that Sigma, Bap, Iliari still on a map like this, especially first point Midtown. It can be very hard to break through that bunker. And if you get really silly, you can like start throwing Torb turrets on top of the train and stuff like that. You can get really silly on that first point if that's what you wanted to do. But maybe Void Ravens were seeing that and we're like, okay, we're just not even gonna picture that this is gonna happen.
Yeah, sometimes the like this is desperate times for the rat milkers, right? Like, so maybe we're just cutting off any last second things. Maybe there's like you said, maybe there's more of like a poke bunkerish comp that they have. So we'll see what happens when it loads out. But I have to imagine we're probably just going to see more of the same preferred styles out of both teams, with the exception of the Kiriko. And I mean, Midtown is gonna be that spot. It is match point here for the Void Ravens, looking to push their way up into that top 4 situation, and Rat Milkers still just looking to dig their way out of the bottom.
They absolutely are. I'll say they've looked pretty good so far. They've just had some fight fumbles here and there on maps number 2 and 3, where it's like I could see them winning this fight if they just did this thing differently here. If they were a little more aggressive here. If they just didn't play it as safe as they were playing it. So there's definitely room for this to work. And Void Raven's going to be opting for the Moira with the Wu Yang here. And here comes that Venture you were talking about earlier. So
yeah, see, this is that kind of, I've seen this in a couple different tiers where like, if you don't have the Reaper or you want a different level of engage, like the Venture is a good option because they're another high damage character. But Rat Milker is now over, I mean, Ramatra after all these nerfs, really?
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by this pick right now. I can't lie to you. I would almost just go Reinhardt, as opposed to Ram. So you at least have the something to block all this Zarya damage off. Because I don't know, like I said, after all those nerfs, I don't know about Ram.
Yeah, I'm not quite sold myself. And with Zachary now back onto the cast, he's able to dink those heads. I'd be very concerned about getting someone like these Reaper. I'd be very concerned about getting close to see how quickly they just run down Quexian on the Reaper. Just tells you everything you need to know. Nerf fires back with one of their own, and again in this small area, just trying to get a little bit of damage, poking their way through as the Rat Milkers have made it to the fire station, but there's not really a place for them to go. Manages to dash their way through, gets the lamp even. Has to dig their way out though, and is going to try to complete the kill. The Baptiste fakes the jump and absolutely gets played through, but the Rat Milkers are there. They move their way to the point in some patient play, getting them to this point, capturing slowly but surely.
Yeah, and Monkumi on this Tracer actually doing a really good job of just kind of getting on those flanks, getting those early kills, and we're going to see Nerve go to match that Tracer, and there should definitely be a touch here after 2 ticks. Very smart play there from the Void Ravens as the Rat Milkers are resetting for this fight.
Yeah, still had to wait for the 100, but now the Ramatra's back. Hammer just going to go ahead and try to contest onto the point here. Deadeye up for Zachary, sends it in, looking for targets. Hands had to get thrown in, trying to find anybody. Lamp thrown up to protect, but not needed, trying to find any target. No, the bait was good, but does manage to get Quexion for looking out that window. You can't peek, son. He'll go back to spawn. Rat Milker's good up 2 now, just trying to clean up the rest of the Void Ravens here for the capture point segment. Is beautifully done to fight. Very patient play from the side of the Rat Milkers.
And great shots from Zachary as well. Getting out the Wraith form with that Deadeye, that's usually all Deadeye is really good for is just getting out some cooldowns. So good job there. And then you got to land the shots as well, but just continuing to do that. And we're already seeing the side of Rat Milkers getting control of this high ground. They're going to have the Annihilation online, as well as both of their support ultimates. I wouldn't be surprised to see an aggressive ult from Shay here. They've been doing a good job of doing damage.
Yeah, Shay's been a very strong player, managing to keep the team alive. Annihilation, though, gets forced out from Hammerfall, falling dangerously low, has to fall the hands in. They even get a sound barrier to make sure they can live through that. And it's met by the Tidal Wave, who does get the stun out, but the lamp is there. It's good to save the day. So many things, so many moments where Rat Milkers could have, just kind of committed all that into a lost fight is so unfortunate. Now Quexion holding this corner. Waiting for the grab. Zarya sends the grab in, teleport from the back line, sees past the shield. There's the dance, but it doesn't get anything. It's a dance of death back to spawn. The 1-1 trade is there. Pulse bomb from Nerve catches a second, and now, Rat Milker is going to send in a high noon of their own. Nobody really in sight here trying to find the Baptiste. Now on the flank angle, get bothered out. No good there. Just manages to live through it and get a free reset. 3:30 now, as it looks like that early high ground advantage the Rat Milkers had is just gone with this high charge. Zarya Hunted just now peppering away at the team, burning down, and Zachary back to spawn means that Void Ravens are back up in the numbers. There's a bubble onto the Tracer. Nerve looking for a second, gets the Immortality field out, and the shield is up from the Ramatra, but from the other side, the Void Ravens just collapse in a beautiful pincer maneuver from them.
And I really like this swap from the Void Ravens. You get this additional poke damage and just a little bit more to force out some of these cooldowns sooner. You have a lamp of your own that you can also use. I like the Bap Wu Yang pick here. It's looking like it's working incredibly well for them so far. And again, having the match of Nerve and Monkumi on that Tracer gives you an advantage, generally speaking, from what we've seen so far.
Quexion just getting a little charge for the Zarya, eventually gets out, but Zachary again opens it up in front of the window, gets links through their own pick, and Vishne good for a second. These Rat Milkers have just been absolutely clicking the heads. Pulse Bomb goes a little bit far, doesn't quite get what they're looking for, but they'll push the rest of the Void Ravens back. Cart moving slowly but surely under the bridge there, and Zachary again good for another one just in the distance. Just Zachary has been just a pillar of damage for the side of the Rat Milkers here.
Yeah, Zachary doing a great job on this cast of just not really missing too many shots. Pulse Bomb coming out from Nerve, does not catch anybody. Gonna have the Tidal Wave online as well. Gollygwagon popping it onto the Reaper, and there it goes, getting the stun off.
And the rest of that damage is not quite the follow-up you wanted, but Hunted did manage to get one elsewhere. High Charge Zarya doing all the work they needed to do, just ignoring this Ramatra, trying to leave them to die. But the Rat Milkers are just slowly dying on this cart. 1:40, and the Ramatra's the last one back to spawn, so still time for a fight.
Well, again, the longer the Zarya comp stays alive for, the stronger it tends to be. And I got to shout out Gollygwagon on this Wu Yang once again, because we're just seeing the final blows consistently coming out from Gollygwagon, and that's just, it's tough to match. Look at all that damage that's coming through. That's like 60 damage that just got done by those water balls right there. That's a significant amount if you're just constantly tossing them out, as we're seeing happen.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of splash damage too, so you don't even have to be perfect. But this approach from the Rat Milkers to the high ground, the speed is there, but it's so damaging. They're caught in the grab, and it's just met. The Immortality field is too late, and the Void Ravens get 2, which means the Rat Milkers have to get out of the way with 50 seconds. They'll get one last shot, the easiest gong off of a grab.
Yep, and you get caught in the grab, and Quexion doesn't even use the Death Blossom. Luckily, though, you didn't pop your sound barrier if you're Fish. So you do have it available for this next fight. You're probably going to have to use it aggressively, though, but you just need to be cautious and weary of this Death Blossom. Quexion hasn't caught anybody with it yet, but that doesn't mean they won't this time.
Yeah, as I say, it still leaves them vulnerable as they'll push directly. They'll speed under this time to try to get pressure onto the point. And Void Raven's just looking and waiting. The low window from Blanks. Catch him on the back end. They're a little too late. High noon on the front from Zachary. Doesn't find anybody. But the Baptiste are putting in just enough work that eventually Hunted goes. And that's the rest of Void Ravens picking up the work for their comrade. Zachary still managing to do their job and click those heads, but that's 3 directs from the Wu Yang. That is a huge chunk of damage. Zachary just holding it down. What a shot on Gollygwagon as overtime begins to tick here, and the rest of the Void Ravens are gone. High Noon is thrown in. I'm sorry, that's a Doomfist out from the side of Hunted just to try to touch, but there's not enough. The window is there, and Rat Milkers stay alive on Midtown. 1.5 minutes added.
Shout out Zachary and Shay. Zachary and Shay just landing shot after shot. getting the window put up there towards the end. And even still, we were seeing Gollywagon do so much damage on that Wu Yang throughout that fight. Just that constant spam coming through. You are going to have the Annihilation online here from Hammerpaw that could prove pretty useful. But also, again, the Tidal Wave is going to be online too. And it seems like last time they were using that to just kind of stun out the Annihilation.
Pulse Bomb goes a little bit wide, doesn't quite get there, and Nerve has to recall out of the way with it. Meanwhile, in the front, Hammerpaw sends in that Annihilation, falls dangerously low, can't quite get anybody to get any health off of it, and loses it. Now it's a Tidal Wave onto the Reaper, gets pushed back, and stuns were there, but no real follow-up as Quexion has to get out of the way there. Again, held at this tunnel, and Zachary just continuing to click away, but it's 2 from the Void Ravens finding that damage and holding the line for now, under 30 seconds, and they'll push into spawn. Link's good for 1, that the Immortality Field not able to save them. And again, just cleaning up here, Void Ravens, they are going to deny this ability to touch.
Yeah, they are certainly going to play up and try and stop that here. And the thing that just continuously happens is if Rat Milkers gets 1 early, they're able to win it out. But again, having that Zarya comp stay alive longer and allowing Hunted to build up that charge, that's where you eventually lose to the Zarya comp.
Well, the Reaper gets in. High noon from Zachary. The Immortality Field is there, but they don't really need it. It scared everybody away, looking for somebody, nobody home. Pulse Bomb goes out from Monkumi as well as overtime starts, but there's no pick from it. 2 more go the way of the Void Ravens. The window from Shay is so far deep and unfortunately out of the sight lines, and that's just going to be it. I think I say the last ultimates are going to try to get thrown in as overtime continues to hold, but the Void Ravens are there. Team kill has sounded, and that is a stop here in Midtown, 56 meters away from completion.
Honestly, though, if you're the Rat Milkers, you're pretty happy to get it that far. It really looked like they were going to stall out on second point. So even getting it beyond second point, I would say you're pretty happy with. That's a solid push. Midtown is notoriously hard to get each point, if I'm honest. Like, I think every single point of Midtown is incredibly difficult, as opposed to something like Numbani, where second point is essentially just a formality and everybody gets past it. So,
I mean,
you're in a good spot.
I mean, look at those numbers. I mean, Vishay has literally almost all of the healing, almost the healing side for the side of the Rat Milkers. Those numbers alone, and Zachary with the 20 picks versus Hunted on the other side. Like, Zachary is putting in so much work on this side of Rat Milkers. It's incredible how much that between, like you said, with Shay and Zachary, those 2 alone are doing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's showing so far in the gameplay as well. And I almost think that I would like Monkumi to go back onto the Genji again.
Yeah,
here.
agree.
Just because again we've just seen more success overall with that. Maybe you deflect a grav, maybe you do something crazy like that. Wouldn't be completely out of the question, but I also understand why you're not playing the Genji, because there isn't really anyone for you to go on a target with. Whereas with the Tracer, you're just kind of marking Nerve for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe try to get onto the back line, I guess. Maybe try to get onto Linked, but it is hard to say here. It's going to be the attack from Void Ravens, match point for them. As, I mean, they had a pretty solid hold there. They know the end point is in sight. They just have to pepper down here as they'll approach under this first bridge. First bubble sent onto the Reaper to get out of the way. Quexion has to get out of the way, though. Burned through immediately most of that. And Nerve did make it to that flank, but they're going to be met by the Tracer there. Has to recall out from the side of Monkumi, and then will be met by Nerves, but Tracers are both dangerously low. No one's there. The Wu Yang is there for backup, but no real help needed as Monkumi did manage to get Quexion, but they trade Shay for it, and that is a huge key marker. Hunted and Gollywagon good for 2 more, and just as quick as the Rat Milkers took A, it looks like the Void Ravens will even speedrun it a little bit faster with this high charge Zarya in there, just burning through the Ramacha. Yeah, that'll be an easy cleanup. The first tick is there, and 3 minutes still to go. Chance for a touch, though, Shadow.
There is some potential if Monkumi wants to go in and touch this and try and stall it out. I personally don't think it's worth it. I really think you're just better off just resetting, going for the next point. And it does look like that's what the Rat Milker's going to opt for here. Shay going to be going on to this Ana, so we're going to be seeing an Ana Brig for the first time here. I don't know. I feel like Ana's going to be a little difficult to play into this comp.
Yeah, this is tough because you're really kind of... I feel like you're trying to protect your backline a lot more. I don't know that it's going to do it, though. Like, look at how you're kind of stretching Hammerpaw, and you haven't even rounded the corner here, as you can see Monkumi on the flank, just trying to pressure out, sees the Reaper. Quexion has to get out of the way, too. Now rush Monkumi there, and They can't keep pressuring it on there. Meanwhile, on the main front, there's going to be a little bit of contest. As the Ramatra did go in, it's going to get the high noon out of Zachary. Anybody home? The Reaper teleports out of the way. Has to wait for the Wraith. No, they see the Zarya. Didn't quite get the skull. An unfortunate bit of timing. They're just going to charge him down. Purple is huge, but the save of the immortality field, and Hunted gets out alive. The stun from the tidal wave there is enough too. The Brig back to spawn. Monkumi manages to take one on the way out. I guess it's not Hammerpaw, it's Monkumi getting the one this time.
Yeah, Monkumi said, here, hold this for me.
Hold this
and,
one.
Manages to get the kill with the pulse bomb. And then, back in spawn, you're going to be like, well, I got my one. I don't know what y'all were doing, but I got mine. So, and Hammerpaw going to be swapping onto this Winston here that we've seen them do so well on so far. And I think if the Winston is going to work, it's going to be on this point of Midtown, so you may as well use it here.
You might as well, but it's going to be the window from Lynx here from the high ground was Hammerpaw. Well, it didn't quite work immediately because I got forced right out by Quexion. And in the background, Lynx getting bothered out from both sides. Vishay and Zachary, again, this dynamic duo just crushing in for 2 picks. What a grab. It does send 2, but there's no follow-up into it. I mean, it's Hunted just trying to force, maybe fighting for their life. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, Shay gets a second one out there, and Fish finally catches one of it. Oh, yeah, it looks like that Winston was the change they needed, Shadow.
Yeah, apparently. And again, I doubted the Ana from Shay, but Shay seems to be tracking those bubbles incredibly effectively from Hunted because every anti was landing and sticking. It wasn't really getting cleansed off like that. And that was the thing I was a little bit afraid of, not being able to really land those antis, but doing a great job so far. Going to have the rally online here too if you're Fish.
It's probably even going to get used waiting for Quexion's Death Blossom is my guess, but we'll see what they end up doing with it because there's a lot of poke coming their way. Still from the high ground, no Void Ravens, 2.5. And Quexion does get one. They get Shay immediately. No Brigitte to save the day there. Rally was used, but not maybe in the right amount of time. Meanwhile, Quexion catches the wave, gets the HP back, and picks continue to trade out as Fish did manage to get one in raid boss form, but the numbers favoring the Void Dragon. They found the Brig out there, so they're just going to chase this down. She's trapped. She's looking for somebody. Zarya just trying to hunt her down. She gets out of there almost barely, gets the healing back on too. But meanwhile, on the point, it's under 5 meters, and there's finally got to be a touch high noon from Zachary is there. Waiting for Quexion to get out of that, gets out of safety. Any targets? No, can't quite get value out of it. But it is enough to hold the line for now. The Winston dive stick on to Zachary, who gives their life to keep the rest of the team safe, and the Tracers will come in to protect down. But on point, the Winston is burning. He is getting run over there. Lynx is the final killer of the monkey, and Hammer, I mean, with that done, it'll send the wave in from the Reaper. The stun isn't quite there, but it is enough to get Fish, and it's enough to get point B.
And I mean, just a crazy ults exchange there. Quite frankly, Rat Milkers even managing to hold it for that long is crazy to me because they were getting rolled pretty hard throughout that entire point. And just managing to pull that back is impressive in and of itself. But now here we are in what I would call last fight territory because I believe if Void Ravens win this fight, they should be able to cap this point and win this series because do remember, this is series point if it's over here.
Yeah, the golden box of victory just around this corner. They're letting him in, but when Nano's onto the monkey, Hammer's going deep, gets the immortality field, drops the bubble there. But the Zarya is there to peel back, and meanwhile, it leaves Quexion open to get a pick. So a great little bit of teamwork. Winston's going to get out of the way there. Hammerpaw is going to buy it, but the fire engine still moves the Reaper. Now quick teleport into the backline, gets the bubble, pressure onto Shay, and Shay just can't quite get it out. There's the purple. Quexion has to give up the fight. The bubble now on point, but Hammer with that primal gets one. Looking for a second. No, can't quite get the second, and it's going to have to do for now. But Quexion is looking for a target. Pulse bomb does get Fish out of it, and the numbers slowly dwindle for the side of Rat Milkers. The cart is there. I don't think there's gonna be much more. Yeah, they catch with Quexion. They get the Ana finally, and that means there's no numbers to touch. Void Ravens will clean up Midtown and the series 3-2-1.
And I mean, even if you're Rat Milkers, I wouldn't feel terrible about this. All that I got out of this series was that, hey, somebody's got to pick up this character that we're seeing on the screen right now. Somebody's got to pick up this character. We could be a pretty solid team if we pick up this character because everything else was looking pretty good from them.
Yeah, I actually genuinely agree. Like, it's kind of insane how just the difference of character, not being able to have the Wuyong kind of made on it. But all things considered, if you even want to look at that as playing with a handicap for the side of Rat Milkers, like, That was very good. That was still very, very well contested. A lot of those maps were fairly close. You got one, and the two of the other three were still fairly, fairly close. So I think, like you
Yeah.
said, it just learn the Wuyong, and you could get yourself out of this kind of a hole in the Masters division.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the difference of not playing like the meta when you get up to this point,
Yeah.
essentially. Like when you're not playing what the meta composition is, it really makes all the difference in the world. And we saw it here tonight. You were able to ban that hero out map one. You won map one, and then the rest of the maps you couldn't match it, and it just was showing itself throughout. The rest of the maps, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost as apparent as the lack of me in half of the games. So for what it's worth, I think there's some good lessons to be learned here. But this Masters division is a tough place to be. The Void Ravens, with that win, that doesn't even bring them into the top 4. So we will be taking a quick break to get an interview together. We'll be right back with someone from the Void Ravens in just a moment. Hang tight while we figure out who we're going to steal from them. We appreciate your patience. We've found someone. In fact, we found Nerve, the incredible DPS player from Void Ravens. Nerve, welcome in.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
How you feeling? I know this was a pretty tough. This looked like a pretty fair map. So how you feeling after taking the win tonight?
It feels good, honestly. We had a pretty rough loss in the mid-season tournament, so feels good to get a win on after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so map number 1, obviously the Wuyong was not available to you. What do you think was causing the most trouble there for you on map number 1 to bring the loss out? Are y'all maybe just not a control team? You know, like what do you think there?
Well, one, I think we're not as comfortable on Lucio right now. We just did lose our old starting main support. So Golly's been learning the Lucio, and you know he's really good at it, but I think we're still getting used to that. And I gotta say, Hammerpaw on the Winston was giving us a really hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And then, well, with this win, you get a little bit closer to those top 4 slots. And what's your outlook looking like for the rest of the season? Got 3 more games to go before the playoffs here. How you feeling about things overall?
Feeling good, honestly. I think we can win it. You know, as long as Wu Yang stays good, Golly G Wagon, that guy is too good at that hero.
Yeah, Golly was really standout. That was one of the players we were watching for you guys. It was Golly there, but I mean, I want to quickly tag on one for Shadow. Is there any team you're looking forward to maybe like getting revenge on from the midseason? Any team you're looking to play? Anybody you're eyeing down the line?
I forgot their name, but whatever team Confessor plays on, I'm not sure if any of you remember.
I don't know off the top of my head.
There is a team with a guy named Confessor, and we have a little bit of a rivalry going on because we did play against each other in a Tracer duel on a different league, and we both have really wanted to face each other. Yeah, I think so. Right, so yeah, I want to face that team. I want to get a pulse kill on Confessor. That's my goal.
I love it. That's some sights well set. Before we let you go back to everybody, anybody you want to shout out? Anybody want to give some thanks to? Any final words for the audience and the crowd out there?
I'm gonna shout out Jingu Bingu, our main support, who's no longer playing with us. Shout out Jingu.
Wherever they ended up, hopefully they're doing well. And thank you, Nerve, for the chance to talk with you. We'll see you in the rest of the season, and I know we'll probably see you in the grand finals playoffs. So looking forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, looking forward to winning.
Ooh, I love that. I love that Spice Shadow. I love that. Considering this NA Masters division is pretty stacked in some ways. I love that confidence.
I mean, it's how you have to be if you're expecting to be one of the top tier competing teams. You got to have that level of mentality that we are going to do this, not like we might possibly do this if we have a good Saturday. Like, no, you got to be like, no, it's going to happen. This is how it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and considering now you're moving closer to that top 4 spot with a few weeks left to play, like you got to be feeling confident about yourself coming off the win today. So a well-deserved win for the Void Ravens, and for the Rat Milkers, it's another loss in the column, but there's still some fighting chances. You know, there are still a couple of teams. There's still, like you said, 3 weeks left, so still a lot of playing to be had and still chances to come back.
And I mean, this is one of the middle of the pack teams that you were playing this well against. If you're the Rat Milkers, like I said, if you can pick up this Wu Yang character somewhat, you know, just to be like on par or maybe even just a touch below what the other players playing it are playing right now, I really think that this team is looking significantly better because Shay and Zachary and then Hammerpaw and that Winston, they've got some really standout performers here, do the Rat Milkers.
Yeah, they've got some quality teams, but unfortunately the quality of the match is done, and therefore we are as well. So thus ends the Friday night Overwatch. And well, Shadow, it's been an incredible night, but from you and I, and Rammer bringing us the incredible sights and keeping us alive and viewing it all from the background, we thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you for even more CGL action in the coming weeks. Come on back, follow, stay tuned for more.